Hey, it's me, Riker. Today we're going to have a look at Grezhul the Corrupted from the Graveborn faction. As you can see that he is a strength-based hero, and his class is tank, and his primary role is damage. However, this is different compared to what is written here, but due to his skills, he can deal a significant amount of damage when paired with the correct allies. So let's have a look at his skills. His ultimate skill. Grezhul raises a gravestone behind his enemies, causing 130% damage to multiple targets within a certain radius of the gravestone. Grezhul then raises an undead skeletal warrior that attacks an enemy. The undead skeletal warrior's level is equal to Grezhul's current level and gradually loses health over time. Damage is increased by up to 140%, and the skeletal warrior can now use its own special abilities. The level 3 damage is increased by up to 150% and now summons 2 skeletal warriors. So his next ability, Demonic Assault. So this ability allows him to essentially deal damage. So this allows him essentially to steal the enemy's stats, and he gains this for himself and for his skeletal warriors, allowing him to deal a significant amount of damage to enemies even at extremely high deficits. Grezhul uses Demonic Assault and attacks the enemy in front of him 3 times for 80% damage per time, also stealing some of their power. Stealing the enemy's power causes their damage output to fall by 50%, and the damage they receive to be increased by 25%. The effect of the skill shall persist until the enemy dies, or Grezhul dies, or until it is used on a different target. The damage is increased to 90%. The level 3, while stealing the enemy's power, Grezhul attack rating is increased by a value equal to 75% of the enemy's attack rating. While calculating the value of the attack rating increase, its value will change in real time according to the enemy's own attack rating value, and any attack rating debuffs that the enemy suffer will be temporarily ignored. This damage is increased to 100%. So his next ability, Shadow Shield. Grezhul forms a shield around the furthest ally that is currently not protected by Shadow Shield, allowing them to mitigate 150% of the damage they receive if the Shadow Shield is destroyed while in use. It will cause 120% damage to nearby enemy targets. So this shield is extremely crucial, especially when fighting bosses in the Cursed Realm and Twisted Realm, and various other events such as the Hunting Fields and Abyssal Expedition. The shield's armor is increased by up to 200%, and damage is increased up to 150%. In addition, it reduces the enemy's energy by 100 points. The damage is increased to 200%, and the level 4, the shield's value is increased to 240% when engraved to 30. His next ability, Deathly Protection. During battles, damage dealt to all allied heroes from intelligence-based enemies is reduced by 15%. During battles, the damage dealt to allied Graveborn heroes from intelligence-based enemies is reduced by an additional 15%. So this equates to 30% damage reduction. During battles, damage dealt to all allied heroes from intelligence-based enemies is reduced by 20%. So this can go all the way up to 40 or 35%. And the level 4 or 60 engravings, during battles, the time of all debuffs dealt to allies by intelligence-based enemies is reduced by an additional 20%. Alright, so let's have a look at his signature item. His signature item, when unlocked, summons one skeleton warrior every 9 seconds behind the enemy closest to the edge of the battlefield while Grezhul is alive. The 10 unlock, Grezhul recovers 10% of his max health when a skeletal warrior dies. 20% of his max HP is restored, and at 30, skeletal warrior is summoned once every 7.5 seconds. Now let's have a look at his furniture. His 3 furniture unlock, value of Grezhul's Shadow Shield is increased by 150%. When the shield explodes, the skill ends, or if it has not been destroyed. So this allows essentially Grezhul to deal even more damage to the enemies. So when he steals the stats from his enemies, he gains a shield depending on the stats. Now this shield can deal a significant amount of damage, as well as the stats that he steals can also empower the skeleton warriors that he summons. The skeleton warriors summoned as a result of any skill shall enjoy the shield effect of the Shadow Shield. Now his engravings are crucial for Grezhul, as this allows him to essentially to be a more effective tank, to deal more damage, and to have a variety of very critical secondary stats such as crit, haste, and most importantly, accuracy. Now this allows Grezhul to, as I mentioned before, to fight at extremely high deficits, and allows him to essentially solo the enemies by himself. Now without these upgrades, the 30 signature item, 9 furniture, and 60 engravings, he's not that effective, and he becomes a pseudo tank for your team. Now once he has these specific stats that I mentioned, he'll become extremely powerful, and when paired with a hero called Aona, he'll be able to essentially scale up his damage. As the longer the fight proceeds, the more skeletons he can summon, and by doing so, he can deal more damage. Now as we can see here, he summons a shield on his ally, on his furthest ally. Now he can do this either on himself or one of his allies. Now there we go, there's his shield. And he also is stealing stats from his enemies as he's fighting. This is represented by the blue, there we go, the blue animation that he does. So let's have a look at his ultimate ability. So he summons a gravestone behind him, stunning them for a couple of seconds, and he summons 2 skeletal warriors. Now because his skeletal warriors are scaled to Grezhul's level and amount of attack rating that he has stolen, these minions can be healed through various means, either through shields from various allies, or through Saurus, who can constantly keep the minions at 100% health while Grezhul is permanently stealing the enemy's stats, or they can be buffed up through Silas's healing clouds to allow Grezhul to essentially have multiple minions at the same time at full health. In addition to this, these minions also distract the enemies as they stun the enemies, forcing them to essentially turn around and to not deal damage to Grezhul. This allows Grezhul to essentially extend his duration or his survivability, and allows him to survive for much longer periods of time as the damage is not coming into him. Now the team that I'm specifically mentioning is the team that can be seen here. Now as you can see, Grezhul is paired up with Aona. Now Aona provides a shield, an immunity shield to all damage for the first couple of seconds of battle. This allows Grezhul to essentially scale up his damage, his minions, and various other stats, and allowing his back row allies to either control or provide the necessary healing for him to survive. Now, as we can see here, I'm providing a control, a healer, and another healer for Grezhul. Now, in this specific battle, we can see that Grezhul did the most amount of damage, even though he is a tank. However, because of this demonic assault ability, he was able to deal a significant amount of damage, and he even managed to out-heal the support or the healer in the team. So let's have a look at this battle. So when the battle begins, Auna performs a shield that makes Grezhul immune to damage. There we go, Grezhul is stealing stats, and he's also summoning minions at the same time. This can be seen by the minion at the bottom corner over here. This distracts enemies and allows him to survive for much longer periods of time. Now, the longer the battle proceeds, the more damage he'll be able to do. And as you can see, the enemies are slowly dropping off due to how Grezhul scales and the amount of minions. And as you can see, most of the minions take extremely long time for them to be defeated. Now, as you can see here, because of the shield that Grezhul provides, these minions can survive even longer than they were intended for. Now let's speed up the battle, and all 5 enemies were killed by Grezhul. Now let's have a look at another stage and how he performed at a much higher deficit. Alright, here's another team, a similar team composition where the main allies that Grezhul likes to be with is Auna, Pharao, Silas, Odin, or Athalia. Now, he is used in a variety of places in the game. He's used in arena or PvP events. He's used in campaign, as can be seen here. And he's used in nearly every single boss in the entire game. That is why I recommend investing in him, as he's extremely potent and he can provide a massive return on investment when you do so. Now, the minimum investment that I recommend for him is 30 signature item, 9 furniture, and 60 engravings. That is the minimum that I would invest in him. However, if you would like to go further, you can. However, this is the minimum required for him to effectively deal the damage that he needs to do. So, if you liked the video and you like the hero, like, comment, and subscribe.